During Christmas dinner, we consume over 5,200 calories. If you ate this way for every day, you'd be 308 pounds heavier by this time next year.
Holy moly.
Welcome to Lose to Win, the podcast with myself, Jack, Ben, and Josh tonight. How are we doing, chaps?
Good evening, boys. Very well, thank you. How are you?
Well, good, mate.
Lads.
Feeling a little bit festive.
A little bit
there.
festive.
A little festive.
I will when work looks like it's starting to slow down, but at the moment it's still a little bit crazy. So I think next week's diary's starting to look a little bit thinner, which
Good.
gives me a chance to kind of do all my admin-y bits and all the boring bits that I can get away with staying at home to do. So yeah, all good. What about yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Had a good week. Feeling a little bit more festive than you, perhaps. We've had the Christmas
what is it
records
with all
on.
this festivity? I don't.
It's
feel
Christmas,
this festive.
Josh. It's
Yeah.
Christmas. Come on. It's when you have kids, mate. You get into it, and they wake me
Do
up
you have
every
the
morning.
elves, Ben? Have the
Wow.
elves arrived in your
Well,
household?
dude, we have a very special thing that happens every year. On the 1st of December, on the 1st of December, the elves visit and they bring a box and they bring a letter. And the letter says that the two boys have to earn elf points throughout December. They've got to earn enough elf points, and when they've reached it, they've got to put the letter back in the box and put the box under the tree the day before Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Eve, the elves come back, and if they've earned enough points, the elves come back and tell them that they're on the nice list, and Father Christmas will be visiting them that evening.
Okay.
So my kids are fully into being on their best behaviour, earning elf points to make sure that Father Christmas comes on Christmas Eve. So yes, it's all quite nice. Yeah.
Very good.
I can't take
So
any
the
credit
elves
for that,
aren't-
by the way. My wife does all of that.
The elves aren't causing havoc every night in your house, then?
Say again, bud.
The elves aren't causing havoc every night in your house.
Oh,
then?
no, we don't have those elves. We don't have those annoying
You're very
elves.
lucky.
No, we don't do that. No, we don't have that.
I feel like
I
you're
think
going
I'd
somewhere
wanna
with
kill
this, Jack.
Yeah,
The elf on the
it's,
shelf.
If you have a child listening now that likes a bit of the elf on the shelf, turn off. Give you a couple of seconds. I fucking hate the elves. We literally get to like. I come home from football. I actually had a message when I got back into the car last night after football, and it was a message from the wife going to bed. It's your turn to do the elves. And so, whatever time, 10:30, I get in, scratching around, try not to wake anybody, but also try not to wake the dogs because they're chilling and they get all hyper when somebody comes in, trying to work out what I'm going to do with the elves. And I can guarantee you every night we lay in bed and we go, shit, we haven't done the elves. And it is the bane of my life, but bless her, my adorable daughter absolutely buzzes off it and wakes up every morning desperate to go and see what these naughty elves have been up to. So far we've got two of them. So far one has put another one in one of my wife's water bottles in the freezer, so it got frozen.
Excellent.
In water.
Nice.
They've cut how would you call it? You know how you make like snowflakes out of folded bits of paper?
Yeah.
They did that with the toilet roll, which was
What,
interesting.
a whole roll?
No, only about 8 sheets. So it was.
Mate, that's effort.
Yeah, I know, far too much effort. That was my idea. That one as well. They've done all sorts, and it is lovely when you see her face in the morning. But when it's midnight and you go, shit, we haven't done it.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the arse, but it's all good. It's like I say, we're feeling a lot more festive. I had Monday off after my mate's boxing. I must give him a shout out. I don't think he listens, and I'm sure he's got plenty of other things to do, including catching up with his family after being in camp for a long time. But my friend, successfully defended his WBO world title on
well played, man.
on Sunday evening. A very difficult fight. He ended up winning it by a TKO. He broke the chap's broke his ribs, 3 ribs by the sounds of it. So if you can't punch him in the face, punch him in the body, I guess.
Absolutely,
And it worked. It wasn't a spectacular knockout. It was nevertheless he won the fight and moves on to, fingers crossed, it looks like another stadium fight in January at the Vitality.
Cool.
So, yeah,
very
all good. But anyway, as I was saying, Monday I had the day off and myself and my wife were putting up the Christmas lights and we're right opposite the kids' school and they were practicing their Christmas carols out on the playground and it was possibly the most enjoyable time putting up Christmas lights I've ever done, listening to children singing in the background. It was lovely. It was really quite wholesome. And I knew that my two were over there, one of which my eldest couldn't give a rat's ass and was miming apparently and refused to do it. And my daughter is fully invested in it and giving it both barrels. So yeah,
love
all
that.
good fun.
Yeah, we had my 4-year-old's nativity this week, so that was quite cute. He played a shepherd.
Oh, amazing.
Which
Yes,
was
nativity.
quite sweet. Got it all to come, Josh. You got it all to come, mate.
Yeah,
You
I just
certainly
try to think.
do,
Can you
yeah.
guys remember back to when you were involved in nativity?
Yeah, I can.
I can't, you know. I genuinely can't. I remember Father Christmas came and I got a present and it was a train. It was like a little matchbox train. But I can't remember actually being in the nativity. I don't even know if I was. I think I might have been. I genuinely can't remember.
Believe it or not, I remember being the donkey at least once.
Yes, Jack.
And quite fitting, as you can imagine.
Donkey Jack, very fitting.
I went to a very religious primary school, which was Epiphany down in Muscliffe, and they take it to the full full degree. Yeah, absolutely, and it's a big old production. You're on a stage and all sorts going on, but yeah, it was good times. I remember it well. I think
we need pictures of this. There must be photographic evidence of you as a donkey, mate. There must be.
Yeah. I see if I can dig one out for a little
get it on Insta.
Festive treat on the Instagram. Yeah, yeah. So what we want to do this week is, as you can probably tell by the opening of this, it's a relatively relaxed one. Not that they're not normally, but more so as we're kind of wrapping up for Christmas. So we appreciate we've got one more Man v Fat session, which is Friday night, which we will summarise and talk about when we meet again in January after the short break that we take with Man v Fat Football. We thought we'd coincide with a similar sort of break for the podcast. So this evening, or this particular podcast, we're going to Josh is going to do his roundup and talk through the amazing results from the week, but then we're also going to talk a few football bits and pieces and have a few little festive games that relate to what we do in terms of our Man v Fat journeys and a bit of Christmas and a bit of fun as well. So should we dive straight in and get into the roundup, Josh, if you're happy to do that?
Yeah, absolutely, sure. It's kind of the hard yards, isn't it, at this time of the year? One more, as you said, one more Man v Fat week before Christmas, and with office parties and family celebrations looming large. Last week's weigh-in offered a kind of wider range of results. So some players and teams continue to lose weight at a quite impressive rate, while others just took on a wider personal range physically. Overall, we still nudged the scales in the right direction, but only just. So it was only 2.6 kilos as our weekly total across the league. Still a loss, but obviously from our previous 20 and 30 kilo range, it's a significant drop off. We had 29 out of 52 players who lost weight. So the results then are as follows, because they were quite close in a couple of them. So Blues and Yellows, you drew 7 all, as far as I'm aware.
We did.
I didn't. Can't remember the game itself.
We lost 3-2 on the pitch, and then it was a draw overall. So we squeezed. It was much closer than I thought it was going to be. Actually, I was quite surprised. I thought Yellows had done a bit better off the scales, but I think we both struggled a wee bit last week. So good game, though.
Draws,
good game.
Overall draws are relatively uncommon, aren't they? You need a lot of stars to align for it to happen.
Yeah,
indeed. Yeah. That definitely didn't happen in the Blacks Purples game. We lost overall 16-8, but we lost 8-0 on the pitch, didn't we? Was it 8-1, 8-0, 8-1?
Wowzers! What happened there?
8-1,
yeah, something on the pitch. So 7 goals on the pitch and 8 goals overall. So we didn't, so most of that was the pitch, but yeah, we just got destroyed. Really, not going to lie on the pitch. But I will say that the effort was there. I think to give your Purples your due. You're just really clinical, Got some good finishers in that team. Yeah. So,
2 hat tricks as well. We had Kev and myself get a hat trick on the pitch as well, which is quite rare for 2 players to do it. And we took it in turns. We had a half each up front, and it worked out just like that. He scored his in the first half. I scored mine in the second. It was a good result in the end. A lot easier, I must admit, than I was expecting. Josh, I think you may have been slightly off it as a whole for one reason or another. And I think it's consistency, isn't it? I think I know that you're missing Charlie for injury and Seb's. Seb's been in and out a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not about those 2 players, though, is it? Really, we just
no.
I think the main key, and Ben's always said this, is we didn't do very well off the pitch, and that's what destroys. We could have lost if we'd done better off the pitch. We could have lost 6 or 7-0, and it would have been tight.
Won.
Yeah, it would have been tight because that's where it is, and that's where it needs to be. So while I'm not going to say I don't care entirely about the pitch, obviously it's not great to lose like 8-1. That's not the aim, and that's not the goal.
No.
And I think overall as a team, we put on weight generally. So I know I think we only had 1 player who turned up who actually lost weight. So that tells you.
Well, that'll do it.
That'll do it. So that's where it's at. That's
they
where
go hand in hand, though, don't you think? I think as much as I completely agree with the sentiment of it being weight loss is key, weight loss is everything, but I find that if the football's going well and you're playing well, that helps, that motivates a lot of people, including myself, to work harder to lose weight.
Yeah.
And then if you're losing weight and you're doing well, it helps you sometimes, as you reference, overcome some of those obscure results on the pitch by going, actually, we worked harder off the pitch than we did on the pitch this week, and we've shed a considerable amount of weight and earned some goals in doing so.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned it before, haven't you, Jack? When you've come out of the weighing room and you've lost X amount, and you know the rest of your team have lost stuff, gives you a little boost going into the game.
Oh yeah, the buzz on it.
So
especially when you're up against somebody that you think you're going to have a tough game against. You want to bank as much as you can lose.
Yeah.
And you sat there working out who's got hat tricks, who's got milestones. What does that look like? That is when you know the team's rumbling and really moving forward, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, in the other games then, Oranges I think they had 2 milestones, but we'll come to that. But they won 18-5 against the Whites, so a big win there. And then the Greens still roll on, as always, 21-10. They beat the
Wowzers. Yeah, they're going great guns, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they continued their impressive run. So they lost 5.5 kilos as a team, and seeing 7 out of 8 players moving in the right direction. So another massive number of them. The Reds also deserve a mention, though, because 5 players out of 6 of theirs lost weight, and we already mentioned at the start about how difficult it seemed to be overall for the league. So that's probably most of the league right there out of the Greens and the Reds who lost the weight. And then 3 other teams also enjoyed modest losses. So I'm just trying to work out who they were now. But then the other 3 found themselves, I know, to be in the gaining territory. So I know we were among them. Last man standing kicked in with 5 players eliminated, triggering the next kind of goal blitz, which is why you would have seen Greens and Oranges and that with quite a few. 6 of them, Ravnath, Tim Winramokoff from the Greens, Tom Marks, Phil Crossley from the Reds, and John Costa from the Oranges scored an additional goal on top of that for achieving 8 consecutive losses. So 8 out of 8 weeks to start the season, which is amazing. While 18 players, including the aforementioned, scored a goal for reaching the last 20. Survivor goals were spread kind of as follows. So Greens had 5, Purples and Oranges had 3 each, Reds and Blues 2 each, and then Blacks, Whites and Yellows had 1 each. The next glut of bonus goals will take place when we are down to the last 10, while week 12 will see an extra reward for anyone with a perfect score, essentially.
Nice.
Trying to work out when that is, but that will be back end of January, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be some feat to get there, won't it?
Yeah, a month and a half to see that out. But to be fair, we've got 2 weeks to lose weight. I know Christmas is difficult before the next session.
I think this week might be a bit of a killer. I know numbers are quite low this week, aren't they? On the whole.
Looking at, yeah.
Yeah. Hat-tricks were thin on the ground this week, just 5. But there were 2 milestones to celebrate, so both from the Oranges, as I mentioned. Jet Gander and Michael Burt both earned their 5% this week.
Yeah, well done,
gents.
boys.
Keep it going.
Yeah, really good.
And hopefully, let's not let Christmas undo that great work, generally speaking. Now, that goes for everyone, really, who's done so well this season. Team of the week, Ollie Wentworth, last season's top scorer, leads the Team of the Week with a mightily impressive 2.1 kilo loss.
Yeah,
his Blues
Super
teammate,
Ollie.
George O'Callaghan. That is how I pronounce his last name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Is
got
the
it.
only survivor from last week's top team. So Ollie was at the top with 2.1. Then we had Tom Marks with 1.8 kilos. George, as I mentioned, with 1.7. Mark Coffin with 1.6 kilos. Phil Haley with 1.5. And Tim Winrow, who's still there, with 1.3 kilos. Yeah, him and Rav, as he mentioned on the pod a couple of weeks ago, really pushing each other.
Yeah,
for the Greens, kind of a competition between both of them within the team. So it's really spurring.
I was talking to Rav. Rav had been for dinner. Had been for a curry before football, which he couldn't get out of, and he went for a curry, and then he got home, did a bit of exercise, and then came and weighed in. And still lost.
Good. I remember those days.
Yeah, but that's. Sorry, go on.
He's an animal, and I think what you're going to say is it's a credit to the hard work that he did leading up to that week.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I was going to say it's about the week, isn't it? Not the day.
Of course it is.
So,
yeah, but the day, I think something like that can potentially ruin a good week. But he's seen that and knew what was going on and did the right thing, and fair play to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good boy.
Anyway, one more week then, just this week before Christmas break. There's no kind of reason for people not to enjoy the parties, because I know they're coming and I've got mine on Friday. But if there's something on your calendar that would be more calorific than usual, let's say, we have to think about what we can do differently in the rest of the week to accommodate the indulgence, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So Man v Fat isn't about denying yourself things that make life fun. It's about helping you to enjoy them in a healthy, sustainable way. So
absolutely,
kind of let's sign off the year.
Copious amounts of lager watching you, mate. Box. Double pinters are on hand.
So you're going to be up this week then, Jack? I'm assuming.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll need. I've been disciplined otherwise. I can't shake feeling rough at the moment. I'm hoping I'll feel better. I'm half tempted to arrange the football tomorrow night and not play. That's quite. I think you both know that's pretty rare for me to not be playing football. So just not feeling it. Not I'm feeling the weight loss. I'm just not feeling myself at the moment. But I won't.
Conserve your energy for Friday, buddy. Go out there and get yourself another hat trick.
Goes. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Think about that hat trick. Who are you playing this week then?
We got the Yellows. Okay. Graveyard shift Yellows.
Oh, Graveyard. Oh,
the 10 o'clock.
Ben wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't. As far as I'm aware, we don't play games after 9 o'clock.
No, too posh.
That's what it seems anyway. But you boys back there 10 o'clock at night. Phew. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You wait, next season I'll get all 10 o'clockers. You wait and see.
Hopefully.
I'm fully expecting it.
Oh, we'll make it happen. That's fine.
Who have you got, Josh?
We've got the Whites this week.
Okay. Nice.
So, and they've been doing well on the pitch. Win. Yeah, they are, and they've been doing really well on the pitch. They've been working really hard.
They've been moving in the right direction.
Yes,
as
they
well,
have definitely been moving in the right direction. They're getting closer and closer, and I think also, I think Craig mentioned this last week that there's just a little bit more belief in the team. There's a bit more optimism as they go forward, as they've been moving forward, and that's really helping overall. So.
Yeah, I obviously not being involved with the pod last week, I thoroughly enjoyed the pod. I think Craig spoke really well and very kindly said some very nice things about me, and as he mentioned, we go back a little bit, and I'm glad he eventually listened to me and joined. I think he covered it, but there's a little bit of a stigma, I think, or people's perception of what it's going to be like and what it's actually like is very, very different. And the more we can ask mates and other people we might know that might be interested without insulting them to get involved. I think the better for the club.
Yeah, I mean the best time of year is yet to come for that. The new year.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
When we get in
the influx, I can see happening in January. I'm sure.
Well, I hope so. I really hope so. And that's when you're less likely to insult people, isn't it? When you ask them, because most people are on a bit of a health kick. So I really hope we can get more people involved in the new year, and hopefully we can get some returners as well. As far as I'm aware, we've got a few people who.
Well, January, there's a few people that do come back in January, don't they? Have a few months away.
I think there's a few returners lined up. I think
3 or 4 of mine in the top, just off the top of my head, that I can think that have given me an indication that they are returning in the new year. So
that's good.
Yeah, nice.
That's good.
That'd be good.
Well, we've got a big game against the Greens this week. Big game.
Somebody needs to beat them.
Yeah, this is it. You see, otherwise they're going to run away. They're going to run away.
Think how things change so quick. Everyone was like, the Blues are winning everything last season, and now you're coming up to the Greens who are winning everything. God, the Blues have got. Everyone's behind the Blues now. We've got to get that win.
Got to beat them. Sadly, I won't be there. I'm not there this week, sadly, which is a bit of a shame because we had a really good game last time, and it wasn't that close on the scales because they got two milestones against us. But hopefully this time around it might be a wee bit closer. But sadly, I'm not going to be there, which is a shame. But it'll be a good game, I'm sure. Always good lads at Greens. I do.
I'm sure you'll have your men prepped.
They are prepped. They are prepped and ready to go.
Good.
Yeah, very good. You got Billy back, haven't you, as well? I know.
Billy Boy's back. It was his first week last week. Bless him. He's I think it was a bit of a shock for him, especially because we had to play sixes. He's never played sixes there, and it was his first week back after having a broken foot and not basically doing anything for about 6 or 7 weeks. So I think it was a bit of a shock for him. Bless him. Yeah. But he got through it.
Yeah, he's good though, mate.
Yeah, he is good.
Anyway, lads, I want to move on to play just a small game with you guys. Something Jack suggested a couple of weeks ago, and anyone listening can try and play along, I guess. I tried to make this as festive as possible, but honestly, without making some of it a little obvious, it wasn't massively easy. So we'll do a bit of a guess the calories.
All right, go on then.
So the first thing we'll go with a mince pie. Everyone loves a mince pie. Well, I say everyone. I've known a few people who don't like a mince pie. When I was younger, I didn't have mince pies. I was like one of these really fussy people. I was like, no. And then slowly get into it as you get a bit older. Do we have a hazard a guess of the mince pie, the calorific content?
They are my nemesis.
You can go first, Ben.
Okay, so I'm fairly sure they're ridiculously high. I think of an average mince pie, it's about 200 calories, something like that.
I think it's more. I think it's 320.
Ooh.
That's high.
Anyway, you're not all miles off it. It's 250 for an average mince pie. But still, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That is high,
That's a
isn't
lot.
It?
By
Especially
the way,
when you can now like 4 in a go.
What's more then? A mince pie, or 5 Quality Street chocolates?
Oh, we're going higher and lower, are we? I like this.
So is it higher or lower? Five Quality Street chocolates or a mince pie?
They're about 40 calories each, aren't they? Chocolates. So what's that? 80, that's 200. So I think it's lower.
I think it's lower as well, yeah.
Yeah, it is lower, but 225 or so, roughly.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
5 well Quality Street. Not that Quality Street's the one I would choose. But yes. So
interesting. I have just bought a tub of Quality Streets.
Well, I'm going to come on to. I might ask you guys about what your favourite is in a minute, but next one, mini pork pies. God, just the little mini ones. Pies. You know, we do love those. They're the kind of ones that you could probably have in one mouthful. So,
oh God! So you can easily nail a whole packet.
Do you know what they always do them as like the festive Tesco meal deal, little snack part of the meal deal, don't they?
Yeah, the snack ones are good. Are you talking about the mini ones or the snack ones? Different size.
I'm not sure.
I've just got a mini listed. So
a 6-pack of mini mini pork pies. Go on, Jack. You go. The mini ones.
6-pack. God, all right. God.
One each. One of 6. They come in 6s,
individual
don't they? Yeah. Okay, one. Go on, Jack.
I would say they are similar, I reckon, to the mince pie, 250. a go.
Okay, I'm going to go a wee bit higher. I think they're higher. I think they're higher because of the fat content in the pork. So I'm going to say 300.
195.
Wow.
Yeah. Less than a mince pie.
Okay, so let's all eat pork pies and not mince pies. You're saving calories straight off the bat.
Higher or lower?
Get the pastry out and you're laughing.
5 mini sausage rolls or a mini pork pie.
5 mini sausage rolls or 1 pork pie?
Or 1 mini pork pie.
Oh, that's got to be more, isn't it? 5 sausage rolls. Is it me to go first?
Yeah, the mini sausage rolls. You know, the little bite-sized ones, you know.
Yeah, so 5 of those over a pork pie, I would say that's higher because of the pastry content.
I'm going to go lower.
Lower. 170.
Only just.
Yeah, not by a lot. A pork pie, man, just a killer. This is probably the worst one, but also one of my favourites to ask. Let's just say a standard, and we'll consider because it's a Christmas dinner, a large portion of carrots. So if you're sitting there trying to have the slightly healthy end of the meal.
Are they smothered in gravy and braised in honey?
No, we'll just say carrots on their own.
Glazed.
We'll just say carrots on their own. Boring carrots.
Just boiled carrots. Go on then, Jack.
An average
large portion.
Large. We'll go a large portion.
Large portion of carrots.
Yes.
50 calories?
A large portion of boiled carrots, 50 calories. Okay, I'm going to say lower.
What are you going to go for? You got enough number?
30 calories.
Yeah, 25 or so, roughly. So, I mean, not much in that. I mean, you could have several bowls of carrots. Yeah. Okay, then. Wow. Higher or lower? The Brussels sprouts. Same deal. Brussels sprouts, higher or lower?
Is it me to go first?
Yeah.
I would say carrots are quite high in. They're sweet, aren't they? Sprouts are not sweet. I would say lower for sprouts.
I would say higher.
Jack wins again. It is higher. Not by much, though, like 27, 28 or so.
Oh, come on.
That's nothing, calories. I know. Yeah, I know. But they've been told now, ditch the sprouts. They're god-awful anyway. So
I love sprouts.
Just have more carrots. Yeah, just have more carrots.
Sprouts are best when they're just cooked in a little bit of bacon.
Yeah. Fair enough, yeah. Let's have I'm just trying to think of what else to pick, you know. What do you guys
Christmas
like
dinner?
at Christmas?
Roast potato.
Oh, yeah, roast potatoes. Go on.
Goose fat roast potato.
Oh, my God. Goose fat roast potatoes. Go on, Jackie, then it's your go.
He's got to find it first, doesn't he?
I have no idea.
I'll delay whilst he's Googling.
Okay. We'll go with a small roast potato in goose fat. Yeah.
Oh, my
Just
God.
individually, on its own.
In goose fat.
75 calories per one?
Oh, mate. Yeah. No, come on. I'm going to go higher than that. High, yeah.
What do you reckon?
90.
140.
Whoa.
For one
small roast potato.
In goose fat. Funny enough, if you use the spray oil instead, how much do you reckon you cut it by? If you use the spray oil instead of goose fat.
Well, that's only 1 calorie of spray, isn't it? So,
in theory. What would you reckon that
50
is
calories. 50 calories for 1 potato.
I reckon lower, 25.
No, so the 60 odd calories. So
okay,
for a roast potato in the spray oil, but
that's
still less than.
That's a massive difference.
Yeah.
That's a huge advocation for not cooking them in goose fat.
No, it's a shame, innit?
They're so tasty.
Yeah. Go on then. What about a Yorkshire pudding, a small one?
A small Yorkshire pudding. Are we talking about higher or lower than a roast potato in goose fat or a standard roast potato?
Oh, we can. I'm just generally guessing the calories.
Guess
you can
calories,
go higher than lower than the last.
Well, you've changed the format. We were going higher and lower, and now just said just pick
higher or lower than one in just regular spray oil.
Okay, which was 60 calories, was it? Okay, so I reckon higher.
What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I think I agree.
Lower.
Oh, what?
50 calories or 48.
Well, there you go then. Just fill up on Yorkshire puddings.
They're a lot of air, aren't they?
Yeah, to be fair. But it's more the gravy that you put with Yorkshire pudding, isn't it, really? It's not that's the problem. Okay, 2 pigs in blanket, higher or lower?
Oh, lovely.
Oh, I love a pig in blanket.
Lovely pigs. Go on, Jack. Go on.
It's got to be higher. It's obviously 2 of them. I think is going to sit about 180 calories.
They're 90 calories each. Yeah.
Well, you think if a pork pie is, and then you got your bacon and your pork.
Yeah, with no pastry though. I'll say slightly lower than Jack, 140-ish, I reckon, about 70 calories each.
90, so 45 each or so.
Oh, okay, so they're not too bad.
You can have 4 of those in with your estimate, Jack.
Oh.
So, not too bad.
This is good. Yeah. I'm enjoying this. I'm writing down what I can have more of on my Christmas dinner.
Okay, so we'll move to things like so what about Christmas pudding? Away from your Christmas pud. So I mean, I don't really know what 100 grams of Christmas pudding is, but I have a number here for me. So
100 grams of Christmas pud. We're going with custard or brandy butter?
Just on it. We'll just go on its own. Mate, I don't have the specifics.
Okay. It's all fruit in it. It's all fruit. Surely it's good for you. 100 grams. 200 calories.
100 grams, I'm going to say...
With extra brandy on it.
150 calories.
285.
Oh my days!
Yeah, quite a bit.
Good God!
Yeah, it's funny. I can't find it, but I'd love to compare it to like the sponge puddings or something like that, and you would have instead.
They'll be lower.
I like a Black Forest gatto in our house.
Oh, nice. Oh my God, I'm getting really hungry. This is bad. This conversation's not good for my stomach.
Yeah. What about if you had like 4 Terry's chocolate orange segments?
Oh no, they're not very big, are they?
Do you reckon that's more or less than 100? You come on.
They've got to be the same as a Quality Street, roughly, haven't they?
Yeah. What did we say the Quality Streets were?
40 calories roughly per sweet, ish. I think they were 45 actually when Josh gave us the figure. So probably about the same, I would say. 180 calories.
Yeah, I'd say the same.
Yeah, 164. So yeah, you're around the same number. So we just go say 40 calories.
We're getting good at this, Ben.
We are, mate. We are. There's no excuse though now after Christmas, and we're going to sit there all Christmas going, "Oh, that's 40 calories. Oh, that's 40 calories."
Here's one interesting then. Okay, if you pick a average celebration sweet or a Quality Street or Heroes, and let's include things like After Eights and Lindor, Frere Rocher, things like this. What do you reckon is the most calorific on its own? Do I have an individual one?
Oh, it's going to be like the gooey egg one that they do, the Heroes one that's twisted. Like the twisted, yeah. And
that's all sugar in it.
Yeah, I'll just say
the cream eggs are like proper.
I'll just say just an average one out of those boxes. I haven't got ones for specific. It's more just like if you're going to pick average celebration one, or I know they'll vary differently slightly, but
I reckon a Lindor is pretty high.
Frere Rocher or Lindor, or
I would say a Lindor is pretty high. Saying that, Ferrero Rocher's got a lot of nuts in, and they're very calorific.
They are, yeah. I always used to think nuts are really good for you.
They are. They're good. They're
good fats.
Good fat. Yeah. But probably not so much in a Ferrero Rocher.
Everything in moderation with them again, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'd say a Lindor.
I'd agree. I think a Lindor or one of those.
They are rich.
I reckon close. They would sit around.
Yeah, it's
50, 60.
Oh,
go on, spill the beans.
Lindor 72, and then Ferrero Rocher 75 or to 80 calories.
Oh wow,
so Ferrero Rocher is the
content.
Most.
Yeah.
As you say, for things like Celebration, Quality Street, Heroes, things like that, they average between 45 and 50 calories each.
Yeah.
Individually.
Wow.
So there's a few of those. After Eights are probably the best things to have. If you're into mint chocolate.
Yeah.
Well. Can't stand mint chocolate at all.
Really?
Really?
Oh, mate, you need to have an Elizabeth Short. They're delicious. The straws. The mint straws.
Whilst we've been talking, I just Googled large Christmas dinner calories. Hopefully I'm not stealing your thunder here, Josh. But it says on Google, the first thing comes up, it says, during get my words out. During Christmas dinner, we consume over 5,200 calories, a whopping 190 grams of fat. You'd have to run 2 marathons or 52 miles to burn this off.
Oh
if you ate this way for every day, you'd be 308 pounds heavier by this time next year.
Holy moly!
308
so if you go out and you have
heavier.
every day for a year though, that is. So
every day for a year, you'd be 308 pounds heavier.
Yeah, but that's like 1.4 times my body weight heavier.
Yeah,
next year.
So essentially, if you consume 7,200 calories a day for 365 days of the year, that's how it works out. That's what it's essentially saying.
Christ.
You don't have to. They don't have to be like 5,000 calories though. You can. I mean, they don't have to be that.
Well, if I know what I need to do if I need to imitate Brendan Fraser and the whale.
Just eat a Christmas dinner every day, mate.
Eat Christmas dinner every day.
Every day.
Mad. Yeah.
If you think about it, though, if some of the people over Christmas period do have like 3 or 4 or even 5 Christmas dinners with various friends, family, whatever, and you didn't realise actually how much you were consuming, that is a huge amount.
Yeah.
That's like
we'll be back to back in it this week, this Christmas. So we're at my wife's sister's on Christmas Day, and then to my parents on Boxing Day.
Oosh. It's a double whammy. Adding all the extra little chocolates and beers and wine and Christmas pudding. Mate, that's a 20,000 calorie weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll definitely be conscious of it.
Yeah, I always think about it's just the leftovers. It's not how much necessarily you consume on a Christmas dinner, because although that's a lot of calories, and don't get me wrong, it's more it's coming, so you just eat Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a little bit of chocky here and there, or whatever it is you fancy afterwards, maybe some wine or beer or whatever. So it is going to add up. But then it's the leftovers doing that maybe on Boxing Day as well, or and then you come to maybe New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, and whichever it is you choose. So
the beige buffet comes out, you're in trouble.
Yes, the good stuff.
I've got
just rolled yourself off of the sofa after falling asleep. You could barely move, and then suddenly there's a plate of beige buffet slapped in front of you, and you go, and we go again.
Yes.
Oh, love it. Quick question, you guys. Go on then. What's the best chocolate tin then? Come on. Because we got Hero, Celebration, Quality Street Roses. So those are the main 4, aren't they?
Oh, mate. That's a real difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say, okay, traditionally, you have to say Quality Street. Because I remember as a kid, it was always Quality Street. I think it was a bit like, it was either Quality Street or Roses. That was the only options. There was no others. And we were definitely a Quality Street family. However, now, with all the different variants, I'd probably go for a Heroes.
Would you?
Yeah, because they've got some good stuff in there, caramels especially.
So I just got a box of Heroes from my son's football team as a little Christmas gift, because I'm one of the coaches for them, as a little thank you.
Yeah.
And I had a couple. I'm not going to lie, I had a couple, but it's they're not my favourite. I think I would probably go for Celebrations. If you discount the Bounty and the Snickers, I'm in.
Well, the Bounty's just something that just lays wasted at the bottom of the thing.
Oh, come on now. Bounties are delicious.
Don't give me
I can't stand
then.
coconut.
Mate, I don't like
Don't give
coconut,
me
but
that.
Bounties. Oh, yeah. I love a Bounty.
Anyway.
I'll tell you what,
for you,
lads.
mate.
You
I'll
save
save
all
mine.
your Bounties and I'll take them off the Bounties.
I'm going to have to do a swap, though. I want your Mars.
Oh, you can have them, mate. Yeah, you can have the Marses all day long.
Yeah.
I'll
I've
have
got
your
a theory
Bounties.
on
Do your
this, by
swap.
the way, lads. So it's a generational thing, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
roses are basically out of existence. Unless you're 70 years old or over, roses are basically... So
That's
70...
a sweeping generalisation, Josh.
Like, Quality
I quite
Street.
like the Roses, to be fair, mate.
Quality
But, yeah,
Street,
go on,
if you're probably in your 40s to your 60s
Yeah,
or
be
70s,
careful.
that's where it
Yeah.
lands, isn't it? Quality Street.
Yeah.
Anything
probably,
younger
yeah.
than that, and it's probably Celebrations or Heroes based on
I think you're
your
right, mate.
preference of Cadbury's or Mars products.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's why Celebrations and Heroes are always around for me, because I'm of that age. And my mum always buys Quality Street, and my grandma always buys Roses.
Yeah.
Just different generations. It's all for me, it's like the sickly sweet strawberry
The
and
creams,
orange and
isn't
all
it?
this
Yeah.
creams. Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
like, for me.
See, I'm a sucker for
can't deal with
caramels.
them.
I'm all about caramels. Oh, man. What's wrong with me? I'm literally salivating here. This is not good.
Maybe we
I'm
should
going to
move
go
away
next
from the
door after this
food-related
podcast
stuff
and just nail a whole tub of Quality Streets.
Yeah.
I won't, by the way. So I'll stop myself.
Yeah, well, good on you, mate, for resisting.
I might have one.
One, yeah.
I bought some mince pies today as well. Oh God.
Should we move to some? I've got a couple of like Christmas-related football questions for you, if you want.
Yeah, go on.
Some of that, because in light of the fact that we have a Christmas Eve fixture this year for the Premier League, in particular.
Oh God, there isn't there? Yeah.
There was one other time that it was a Christmas Eve fixture. Do you guys have an inkling as to what year it was?
Ooh, one other time.
Yeah. Bear in mind it's Premier League, so can only go back.
Oh,
as
only
far as
Premier
92.
League era. Okay.
Yeah, so can only go back as far as 92. Yeah, 92.
I'll go with 92 for the sake of it. The first year of it.
I think it might be around the millennium.
Okay.
1999.
It was 1995.
Oh.
But if you consider the teams involved, who do you think played it? That's the real thing in that one fixture. I think I would just consider who was big at that time.
Oh, okay. Here we go. So this is clearly a Man United question. So Man United.
Well, I did accidentally give that away when I discussed maybe asking this question before the start of the pod. So yes, Man United was
again. So it would be a big one.
Two.
So it would be Man United, either Man United Arsenal probably, or Man United Liverpool. One of those.
Yeah, it's got to be one of those, isn't it?
No, it wasn't that. It Leeds was the other team.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Leeds. Aid would be happy it got mentioned.
Yeah. The one and only time. We will never speak that name ever again.
Clear out your mouth.
How about what was the last decade that the Christmas Day fixture was held in England?
Christ.
I'll give you some options here.
50s?
I was going to say it's either 50s, 60s, or 70s.
I'm going to go 50s.
70s.
60s, God.
Oh, we're rubbish.
65. Which is interesting. I didn't realise they used to have a fixture on Christmas Day. I
didn't actually.
Obviously, that's way before my time. But, didn't even think about it.
Football didn't exist.
Yeah. But
one quick question I do have, Josh, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What were we doing this weekend this time last year? Does anybody remember?
What were we doing? I just had an operation. I'd just had a double hernia operation.
God, I have no idea.
Any idea, Josh? This weekend last year was the World Cup final.
Oh, wow, really?
Has that year gone?
Jesus, yeah.
Really?
It was the 18th of December.
The World Cup. I put it out of my mind.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
It was amazing. The 18th of December. So I keep hearing little reminders of it on Talk Sport when I'm driving about. I think they keep doing like their this time last year kind of features and other bits and pieces. And I just Googled then to see what date it was, and I had put it to the back of my memory, to be completely honest. And
we lost in the final, didn't we? Was it the final against France? We lost.
No, semi-final, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was a quarter-final.
Oh, we're on a wind-up. Quarter-final.
There were no games after that match. I didn't watch anymore.
It finished from that point.
Well, I was just thinking...
Harry Kane and his one
the ball's not come back down yet, is it? It's still circling around the moon.
I was just thinking then, did they have Premier League or football fixtures on during the Christmas period last year then?
They did some, didn't they? Didn't they... I think it was after the quarterfinals, there were matches that came back. So as soon as the quarterfinals had been played, the Premier League matches came back because like a lot of the players obviously had returned to their clubs by that point. I think. I can't remember exactly, but I do seem to remember something like that.
Was it like Boxing Day, the first game's back or something?
Oh, that might have been. Yeah, that could be it.
Can't remember. I think the Championship came back a wee bit earlier.
Yeah, well, nobody's good enough to play in the World Cup from that league anyway.
Excuse me, there were a few.
Yeah. They're going to other home nation teams, though.
That's it.
Back to what we were saying about the if you don't mind. We'll come on to your Rangers in a bit, Ben. But
yes. Actually, I'm just going to throw something in quickly. Ilias Chair was there. Ilias Chair was in the Morocco side.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That did very well in the World Cup. There you go. Boom.
Yes,
Right,
they did.
Sorry.
Yeah. Claim to fame. So, I mean, the Premier League, it's weird because you were talking about form teams. Bournemouth, Everton, Villa, Fulham, I guess you can say Fulham, mainly just because Fulham scored a lot of goals recently.
Wolves.
They
Wolves
just
are doing
all
very
on
well.
on the rise. It's strange, isn't it, really? Because Bournemouth and Everton were probably two teams touted for relegation.
Yeah.
And now neither of them look like they'll fall into that problem. I know they're not miles ahead of it, but especially in Everton's case, but it's more.
But look at Everton, right? They've had a 10 points deduction. If they hadn't had that deduction, they'd be sitting. Where would they be if they hadn't? I haven't actually looked at the league table for a while.
Quite pretty from what I remember. I'll have a little look now. But I think, going back to Bournemouth, I think if you look at where they are and the realistic expectation of the season was to survive, you're in a situation that they only really need a handful of wins now to kind of get them to there. If you think you're halfway through, you're at 19 points, generally 38 points upwards, almost guarantees you survival over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
You're not far from that, really. They could have a dip in form and come back again and be safe. I think they've done remarkably well over the last couple of weeks. The draw against Villa was a great result. The game at Palace, which I went to, wasn't certainly wasn't one for the purists, but it was a very good, solid away defensive display and clinically taking chances, and then the incredible result at United, and a lot of the focus was on Man United and not enough credit.
I have to admit, I said this in the chat, didn't I? Afterwards, I think this is where it probably tells you where my allegiance lies when Bournemouth play Man United. But I absolutely hate the furore around Man United and how Man United were terrible, and obviously because I'm involved because I see some of the Man United fan stuff on, say, Twitter or various other places. Sorry, X now. There's just I just see the constant how Man United were terrible and everyone deserves to go, like you would get for all fan bases when they lose a game, but how it's only Bournemouth, we should always be beating Bournemouth all the time, blah, blah, blah. How can we lose to Bournemouth, etc. And it's embarrassing, it's various other things. And I just think that completely takes away from how good Bournemouth were and how thoroughly deserving they were of that. Yes, Man United were poor in places, but Bournemouth were just brilliant, And I also think it's that I hate that kind of Bournemouth are only a small team kind of thing, and they're. But
that's like you were saying before.
They don't deserve to beat.
That's the mentality of the supporter stuck in the 90s, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it really frustrates me, and I really don't like that at all. So I was thrilled. I loved it. I watched it. It was great. So I think.
Do we think that was Bournemouth's biggest Premier League win, as in like most impressive or most important?
United away, one? I think you'd always say United away is a big scout, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but
there is one that sticks in the memory, which was the comeback win against Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean,
but again, that was at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think will say, Ben, and you were just alluding to it just then, and that's the thinking that I don't really like. It's the fact that it's United away. Like,
it works that way.
But no one's afraid of Man United away, really. As Bournemouth proved, Man United aren't the team they were. They do not intimidate people.
No,
they aren't a very good team. Like, it's not just Bournemouth who think they can go there and get a result. Everyone in the league thinks they can go there and get a result.
Yeah.
And you can't be frightened by the idea it's Man United. They've had 10 years of mediocrity at best.
Yeah.
It's not the 90s, as you say, anymore. And I don't think, as much as you can say, yes, it is potentially their biggest win. It's biggest win in the history in the Premier League by the nature of who they were playing in a historical context, but not, I wouldn't say, in terms of
not on current standings.
Yeah, exactly. Not on current standings and their actual biggest. Hard to say what that would be,
fair.
honestly. I wouldn't know, but I'm sure they've had bigger wins against more competitive
I think
teams.
the Liverpool one is definitely a standout one. I think as a well, from what I remember, as a team, I'm pretty sure they've not won at Old Trafford before. There's only a few places they've not won now, and I think it's the Emirates, Anfield, City, and it was Old Trafford, and that's been obviously ticked off at the weekend. I think one that sticks in my memory the most, I do think it was an incredible performance, and at the end of the day, United are. Yeah, you're right. They're not the United of old, but they have just come off the back of winning Manager of the Month and Player of the Month.
Yeah, I mean,
really consistent, sneaky results that they've been getting. I think in the scale of things, you're right. They're not Man United of age, but they are still Manchester United. But I think that Liverpool one, that was under Klopp as well, when Liverpool were starting to build up some steam under Klopp. Coming back, I think it was from 2-0 down. It might have been 3. I can't remember. Neil and Ryan will kill me for not remembering. But I just remember it was around Christmas time when Ryan Fraser came on and tore a dirty name, by the way. Clean my mouth out as well.
I know. I was laughing.
Come and tore James Milner a new arsehole and was just incredible and just turned the game. But yeah, I think that's probably up there with that.
Mm. Yeah, I'd say so.
Fair play to him, and
what do you
Luton
think
at the weekend now.
Yeah, what do you reckon of it? Yeah, they got 2 or 3 games in the bounce now, so some good games, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, what do you think of their prospects then for the season? If you base it on the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 games, then let's just say where they are. Where would you?
They'd be looking to sneak into the top half by now, wouldn't they? That would be a successful season. Top half finish?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think, as many managers say, they're kind of continuously reevaluating their goals throughout the season, depending on how things are going.
Yeah.
And if you look, you've got Luton at home, Forest away, which is always a relatively tricky result. I know that fixture, but I know that Bournemouth got a good result there last year with a cracker from Phil Bill. Boxing Day, they got an easy team at home called Fulham.
Yeah. I was about to say, if it wasn't Boxing Day, we'd try and arrange to see that on the Prime somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then
Stephen.
I'm taking my my dad and my son to Spurs away with Bournemouth on New Year's Eve, which should be interesting as well. So yeah, and then they've got some shit team called
Steady
on the 6th of January. So yeah, it is interesting. I think mid-table is realistically where they should be looking at for their expectations from now. I think with that run of results that they've had, very well deserved. If you think beating Palace, Newcastle United, obviously that's not Newcastle United, it's Newcastle and Man United, and a very good draw against Villa, where I think they probably could have won as well. Mm-hmm. I think they've done remarkably well and should be super proud, and I think Iraola's done a fantastic job at proving me wrong again on the podcast.
Yeah, I think these next 3 games they'll be pretty. If they slip up in these 3, they're the teams you've got to be beating. You've still got to be looking at beating those teams that are ultimately down in that half of the table, because they're the kind of they're the ones that are going to count at the end of the season. I know it's a stupid thing to say, but teams like United, who were playing quite well, and teams like Villa are the bonus points. That they won't have looked at those fixtures at the beginning of the season going, oh, we'll get points there. They won't have looked at that. They'll be looking at your Luton at home. They'll be looking at your Forest away, etc., etc. They're the points that they'll have banked on. So the ones they've picked up away from that are bonus points. So I think they'll be focused on these sort of ones of the teams that will be there or thereabouts around them at the end of the season. And I think if they can get results out of that, then happy days. Then they would probably be targeting top half. I would. That's what I'll be looking
4
at.
4 points out the next 3 would be pretty acceptable, I'd say.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not counting any chickens, but I know that Luton aren't fantastic away from home. But maybe beat Luton and
They're
take
pretty
a draw
free
against
flowing
Forest
now,
and see how
a
it
good
goes.
team to watch. They've got they're having just a bit of fun. They're going out and they're playing every game the same. They're not holding back, and they're scoring goals, and they're a decent side. So I would be wary of them. I think they'll come out all guns blazing. They got nothing to lose. They know they're going to be down the bottom for most of the season. So they're just enjoying themselves.
Yeah. And they'll probably target this game as well and go, Bournemouth aren't, they aren't like your Man City. It's going to be. They've got this chance of getting them something out of it, isn't there? Really. So for them.
Yeah.
So
we will see.
I mean, I've just looked at the fixtures quickly, and until April, Bournemouth have, when they play Villa, Arsenal, and Chelsea away in the last 6 games of the season. The most difficult, City at home, but they've got Newcastle away, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Spurs, I know you said they've got Spurs and Newcastle away between now and the 2 big away games between now and April.
Yeah. Wow.
The rest they're either playing at home against decent teams like City, or it's mostly teams around them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite an interesting one, really. So
they're playing Arsenal on my wedding anniversary, and it's our 10th wedding anniversary, and I'm trying to convince my wife that we're going to London for that weekend. And she's having
none of it. To a spa for a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon.
I've offered, and she's
give her a treat.
To be honest, she was like, "Go," and I'm like, "But I don't really want to go on my own." I was like, "Why don't you come with me?" She's like, "No, you're right, thanks."
Oh,
so
that's a good
she
woman
said
you
go
got there,
anyway,
mate.
and we'll do it another weekend. And I was like, "We'll see." Yeah,
well, she might say that, but she's not thinking. She don't mean that.
Oh yeah, they say one thing and mean the other. I know that very well. I've read this story before.
By the way, you mentioned Everton quickly about where they would be. They'd be 10th basically if it weren't for the
that's
points.
bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah,
you'd never put them there mid-season.
Do you know? I heard Sean Dyche talking about.
There's something about them losing more points or something. I was reading something. Oh, I can't remember what it was about them being potentially having more sanctions.
I think it all depends on if they get sued by the other clubs, because they would have to go into an administration to pay the potential lawsuits for the other clubs that are potentially looking to sue them. I don't think they're in a position that they're going to lose more points because of their breaches. I think that they'll end up getting those at least half of those points back. I know they're appealing it. I reckon they'll get half of those points back.
Do you? Okay, fair play.
Yeah, I just get that feeling, but we'll see.
Enough. Well, we mentioned Villa as well briefly.
Beating
Man City and Arsenal in the last week or so. They've been brilliant. Yeah, they've been brilliant, man. They've been so good. Kind of almost sneaky good on some level. It's not. People have noticed they're there, but they've just they've crept past Man City, Spurs. We'll forget Man United. Newcastle like that in the last kind of month.
Aren't they up to like 11 home games unbeaten or something? It's like their longest.
13, I think.
Is it up that March now? Yeah, they were up to like their best ever
last season. Yeah,
unbeaten run.
The last team that beat them there were Arsenal last season.
Oh gee, bless him.
Yeah, so it's they're doing very well, and look at the difference. What a difference from Gerrard to Emery.
Yeah.
Do you remember I saw Gerrard the day he got sacked, didn't I? I bumped into him in a hotel. I put it in the group.
That's right. Yeah.
And he looked like he'd been hit by a bus and run over a couple of times as well after.
He's not been around since, has he? Where's he gone?
Oh,
he's gone to Saudi. He's gone to Saudi.
Yeah, he's chasing that pound note, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, don't blame him.
Plenty of them now.
50 fans a game sat watching them. Fair play.
It's mental.
Fair enough. Well,
where else you got, Josh? What else you got for us?
Well, I know that Ben wants to talk about his lovely Rangers.
Oops.
Yeah, exactly. And how, but pardon me, sorry. I did want to think, it was more wanted to tie it in with the fact of new manager bounces.
Yeah, go on.
Because I find that concept, the whole concept, a little strange, if I'm honest. Just because it makes me feel like the players just like deliberately just weren't playing, and then as soon as a new manager turns up, they just say, "Oh yeah."
Well, that's kind of what half of what it is, though, isn't it? Because they're now fighting for their place.
Yeah,
yeah, but
and so they need to turn it on.
Shouldn't they do that normally?
Yeah, of course they should. Yeah, absolutely.
But they don't.
Isn't that their job?
Well, yeah. But you know what it's like if a coach is not, or he's trying to do things and the players aren't responding, then players get kind of, they get a bit bored, I suppose, or they don't bother with the effort they go, and they just switch off. And it's like us in a normal job. If you're not engaged with your manager, or you're not engaged with the job at hand, you just switch off. So you just coast a bit, don't you? And you just go, well, don't really matter.
Being comfortable.
Being comfortable. And then the new manager comes and they go, oh Christ, I'm going to have to try and up my game a little bit here to make sure I get picked, and make sure I get re-signed or whatever. And the focus is, because if the manager's having a bad time of it, and the focus is all on the manager going, now they're going to get sacked soon, that's the problem. The manager always gets the rap, and he's the one that always gets fired. You don't see players getting fired. Players don't get fired during a season, do they? I mean, occasionally they get benched if they have a bit of a pop, but they don't get fired. Like a good example does.
Of this, I don't know if you heard the John Obi Mikel interview. It was on TalkSport recently, and he said there was a core group of players that basically had Roman Abramovich's ear when it came to managerial decisions. So John Terry, Lampard, Drogba, Petr Cech, and a few others. And he said it was complete player power. They, at whatever point that JT and basically Lampard said, they just all down tools and make it very difficult for the manager, knowing. And this is the whole saying of it being, they've lost the changing room, isn't it? I think that's at that point. There's a revolt, and the players know the situation that they're in means that if they were to be let go or sacked, they're only going to get sold, they're only going to go somewhere else and earn the money they can somewhere else. Their reputation isn't damaged half as badly as
no.
For instance, a manager having a team relegated or playing for a team that's been relegated. The manager is always the one that's tarnished with that. The players aren't often tarnished with that.
Yeah.
And he was quite open. I think he got a bit of grilling from Simon Jordan and Jim White. They were interviewing him about it. But yeah, he was like, the players 100% had full power in that changing room and could, at a drop of a hat, down tools and have that manager sacked.
Yeah, well, that's what makes me. I don't like the idea that they have so much power. Okay, again, this goes back to my whole. I've seen Man United for when they were successful under Sir Alex. No one had more power than Sir Alex.
No,
that's the way he ran it.
And that was part of the reason why they were so successful, but also part of the reason why people like Jaap Stam, who was probably the best defender in the world at the time, leaves the club unceremoniously through the season. It's just like things like this where you just don't see that nowadays. It makes me. It's the whole thing when, again, I don't want to keep it on Man United forever, but obviously because they're under the spotlight at the moment and Erik ten Hag it's a bit. Well, if the players are just not playing, then they'll have another manager gone, and that'll be six or so managers since Sir Alex, and some of those players have survived all six of them.
Yeah,
it's just like. Oh, that's despicable, So I don't like the idea of it at all. So I just don't like the concept.
My club, I'm hoping that it actually does. It's the best start to a managerial career we've had of a new manager since Don Howe in 1989. So he's got 11 points from his first 7 games. So we've won 3 on the bounce now. And they're playing a style of football that we were playing at the beginning of the last season when Bill was in charge before the rat buggered off to Rangers. So it's interesting though, you see, because Ainsworth came in. Ainsworth was a big fan favourite, but he didn't quite have the kind of style of play that the group of players were used to playing around under Bill. Bill had kind of got this team playing a way that he wanted them to play, and there's certain players, and Ainsworth played the game a very different way, and it just didn't engage the players from what I can see. And then Fuentes has come in, and now they're playing a similar style of football, and it suits the players that are at the club. Like we've got a couple of flair players in Ilias Chair and Chrissy Willock, who are they're flair players, and the game is suiting them, and Willock scored 3 in his last 3, so. I think we're starting to play the football that those particular group of players want to play, and I think it could do us quite well. So I'm feeling positive again.
You sound quite convinced that this isn't a bounce. It is initially.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think
wear off.
No, and we were, I mean, to be fair, we were not playing particularly badly. We were just having a bit of a bad luck. You know, those sort of close games were going against us and we weren't getting decisions and it was all getting a bit depressing. But the style of play was awful. But this, the new style of play that Fuentes has brought in suits the players and it's good to watch. You know, I mean, I'm very much a fan of. I don't mind losing a game really if the players have put their all in and they're playing good football and they're wanting, and they're putting their heart and soul into it. At the end of the day, if you end up losing by a goal because of whatever bad luck or the other team are just better than you, I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with though watching dross and players who can't be bothered to be on the pitch or don't want to be there or they're disengaged. Then I get cross because people pay a lot of money to go and watch these guys and they get paid a lot of money to play the game. So. And I've been through that with Rangers in the Mark Hughes era where they just bought a load of very expensive players, paid them a lot of money who were there just to basically not be asked to do anything, and that was embarrassing. And that's ultimately what cost us our fines for the FFP and all that kind of stuff because it was just an absolute shit show. So don't want to go back to those days, and I'm pleased to see a good young manager being given a chance. He's coming, he's playing attractive football, and that's like Tim was saying, and when he was talking about Sunderland, they've got a young team and they just play good football and they're just good to watch. That's all you can ask for, really. So I'm happy.
That's good.
I saw that Job was currently drawing with Plymouth.
I saw that Job scored for Sunderland last night, Josh. I think he got the winner. Yeah, he's doing brilliantly there.
Very good.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, lads. What was going to say then, lads? If we're happy with that, do you want to move on to some fantasy and to wrap up this one?
Oh,
this week?
yeah, cool.
Let's do it.
Happy to do that. I have to admit, I didn't do much prep for this one. But because we're going to be away for 2 weeks, I have noted that there is a lot of deadlines coming.
There are. So we've got a Friday deadline this week, haven't we?
Friday, 6:30 this week. And then after that, I'm just trying to think, it'll be... Thursday 21st, then Tuesday 26th, then Saturday 30th. Then there's a week's gap.
Couple of weeks, for the FA Cup.
FA Cup weekend,
yeah. So a few there to think of, and I love that Boxing Day is all Prime as well, Prime Video.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
I love Prime Video, mate. I think it's I just get Jeff Bezos.
Do you know they didn't win any
Premier League rights?
They didn't win any of the next round of deals.
Yeah, I know.
Televised deals. It went Sky and BT. None of the streaming services got any. I know that Apple were looking at it and Prime were looking at it. But yeah, it's a shame because it's class, isn't it? It's showing you what it could be like, and it gives you a real good taste of how good it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned streaming services before, haven't we? I just every time it's on Prime, it's not only just the selection. I just think the quality as well is really impressive. It might just be my internet, glitchy. But I think it's always Well, yeah, okay, there you go. It might be different between different people, but I've never had an issue with it. I think the quality's been really good.
I've always found it really smooth and really easy to jump through, and that when you've got them all on the same thing, and because I've got a few devices, so I've got my laptop with Prime Video on and TV and stuff. If I wanted to, I know there's only 2 games that are on at the same time, which is Bournemouth Fulham and Sheffield United Luton. If I wanted to watch them both at the same time, I could easily do it with 2 devices or multiple devices. It kind of gives you that feel of freedom that the Premier League, living in this country, bending us over the barrel and fucking us up the arse, charging us for it.
Yeah.
You just don't get, and you kind of get a little feel for it, don't you?
Yeah.
It is a shame. Anyway, slightly off topic, but yeah.
No, it's fine. Speaking of the deadlines then, so Friday this week, as we mentioned, I have to admit, as I say, I didn't prepare too much, but there's been a couple of potential talking points. Some of them have cleared up based on the fact that, say, Dubravka and Gordon that are playing in the Champions League tonight. So, but injury, key one, Erling Haaland might be out this week. And if he is out, although you're not really going to get anything definitive from Pep, I don't believe.
No.
You have to take that chance. I think there's kind of a bit of a split in the community about whether he's going to play or not. I know that there's been a whole theory about him and his friends and his dad, or anyone else who's involved in fantasy football, have all taken him out of his team, their teams, fantasy-wise. I don't know if there's any credibility in that. And then it's like the rest of the community who just assume, I think like you did, Ben, that it's Erling Haaland, and Pep's not going to give anything away, so he'll probably just start regardless. Like,
I don't know if he'll play him
he'll
at
probably
Palace.
just be there.
I don't. They've got a blank week the week after, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I partly have the impression that if he can afford to not play him, he won't.
Yeah, I
And
think
so,
that's probably the case.
I think this is a good opportunity, given the fact that he's not. They've got Club World Cup,
Yeah.
so I am leaning to the idea that he won't play. And
He
if
must
that
be
is-
carrying a knock if there's that concept behind.
Well, he's broken something in his foot, or not broken, but he's got some sort of thing
Sort
in
of
his foot.
stress
I don't know if
fracture or
it's a
something.
stress fracture, yeah, or something like that. So
Mm.
I don't know how long those usually are. I think the thing is this, that from a fantasy perspective, obviously not having him against Crystal Palace at home is, especially when he's like going to be a prime captain choice, is an issue. Like, do you sell him because he's therefore not going to play the 2 game weeks? I just think that you're going to want him back for game week 19, which is, I think it's against Everton. So even though they've been playing well, he's got Everton then Sheffield United over the Christmas period. So I just think you're going to want him back. So it's up to everyone's individual priorities and whether they figure selling him is a good idea. But if you have a spare transfer, and because you're not going to lose any money on it, because he's the same price as he was when we started, I would consider selling him, and then maybe taking the chance in 19 and 20, because then Salah and Son go off to
That's right.
African Cup of Nations and
When do they
Asia Cup.
go? When do they go?
I think game week 21 is the one they'll miss first, both, as far as I can tell. Well, that's AFCON.
And how long are they
for a
gone
fact.
for? Is it?
Well, it depends how far their teams get in the tournament. In theory, if say Egypt don't do very well, they might only miss 1 week. So you might only miss game week 21, and maybe miss 22. That's the minimum, but at most it could be up from 21 through to 27.
Oh, blimey.
26. So it just depends on how well they do in the tournament. But just thinking money-wise, if you're willing to get rid of Haaland and not get him back, when you get rid of Salah if you have Salah, that is, get rid of him for AFCON, you'll have money there for Haaland, basically.
Yeah.
Is my thought, or close to. So I'm considering getting rid of him for King Solanke, who plays Luton, and then keeping the money tucked away until in
back.
2 weeks' time, until he needs him. I need him. So that's my thought. I'm not certain that's a good idea. Otherwise, it's up. The other idea is to bench him and upgrade your third forward, or change your forward. If you have 3 already, it's getting rid of Haaland. If you have 2, and you have someone like Archer, to upgrade someone like Archer to Solanke if you can afford it, and keep Haaland and bench him, and then you'll just have Solanke moving forward, etc. So things like that. I just couldn't tell you what the best thing to do is.
No, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
So difficult.
It wouldn't surprise me if he comes out and plays against Palace.
No, it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm almost willing to take the risk. I might do it, is my thought.
I might triple captain him and see what happens.
You better make sure your vice captain's set. No, people missed that last week.
No. Luckily, I had Salah, thank God.
Yeah, same. The other thought is then, so for things like defenders, the number 1 defender at the moment, Pedro Porro, is probably your thought if you need a defender. So for me at the moment, I've got Zinchenko, Tsimikas, who's playing Man United at home, so they should be okay. Then you've got Lascelles against Fulham, if Dan Burn doesn't take that spot. No, he's fit again. But then you've got, my bench has got Mark Gahey against City, so I might transfer Gahey to Pedro Porro.
Yeah.
But if I did that, I won't be able to afford to get Solanke. unless I sell Haaland. So
then you're on to
things
a
like
points
this,
hit.
So yeah, it's just an interesting one. This not much has changed basically since last week, really, in terms of players. So it's really hard to kind of give you a really good idea. As I say, Solanke's probably my number one forward to think of. Pedro Porro is probably my number one defender to think of. Ollie Watkins, if you don't already have him, is probably my favourite forward. Other favourite forward, outside of Solanke. So there aren't really loads to think of. People like Trippier is suspended, and Buemo is obviously
there's a
injured.
few that are suspended, aren't there?
Douglas Luiz, I think he's suspended now.
Bruno
Fernandes is suspended.
Yeah, Digne is
not
suspended.
that anyone's got him anyway.
Bruno Fernandes definitely did that on purpose, by the way, as well.
I don't know. He's playing Liverpool, mate. I don't think he deliberately did it. I just think
he must have known that he was waiting in the wings for a suspension.
I just don't think he could help himself, mate. That's the problem.
I don't think he can help himself with a lot of things, to be honest. I think he's a fucking cock.
Yeah, I know you do.
You love it,
again, we love it when it's the kind of player you'd love to have on your team, but not to be playing against you.
Not at the moment, mate. He doesn't get in my team.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't get in Arsenal at the moment.
Maybe you would say that.
Havertz is better than him at the moment.
Sorry, I can't take that seriously at all. I don't give a shit about that.
Than him on form.
I'm sorry, but Fernandes would do way more for your team than Havertz. So come on, man. Don't pretend
not
like
with
he wouldn't.
Odegaard in the team. He wouldn't.
No,
fit
but
in
it's
the
not
team.
that. It's this is the thing about him. It's like people say this all the time. He will misplace a pass. He is petulant. There aren't things about him, but at least he bloody tries those things. And 50% of the time he's going to make a mistake. But the other 50% of the time, he creates a goal-scoring opportunity, a clear goal-scoring opportunity. So it's just the way he is. How do you think he gets
on it with Arteta? Arteta's going to have none of his bullshit, is he? Not many managers will. I don't think Pep would have his bullshit.
No, but I don't think that's a problem because he might be a little bit petulant on the pitch, but he's not unprofessional.
Sorry.
No, but this is what I'm trying to say. As a player outside of it, he's not unprofessional. He gets on. He does his job. He does it to a high level. He doesn't he might do a bit of things. He does the interviews all the time, and he does them well. He's not being petulant in interviews. He has
to be the worst Man United captain in the last 15 years.
I'm not going to rise to this, to be honest, mate.
I'm enjoying
it. I genuinely think he's a quality player, but the way that he behaves on the pitch, he is not a captain. He doesn't. For me, that is not captain.
Yeah, but this goes back to this. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but this goes back to the whole traditional sense of what a captain's meant to be. Like you're talking, but you're talking like you're Tony Adams and people like this. But that's not.
Not even that, mate.
But that's what I'm trying to say. It's not. You could probably pick on quite a few captains in the league. Is what I'm trying to say. He's not the only one. And who else would you pick at that club at the moment? Realistically, genuinely, really think about it.
Slabhead Maguire.
Yeah, but he did it unsuccessfully for so long. How? I'm not saying Bruno Fernandes is any more successful.
Bruno's not doing a great deal more better.
Yeah, I know, but at least he had to give him a chance to change it, and see what happens.
Luke Shaw, I think, is probably his captain material.
Yeah, people say Luke Shaw. People have said Marcus Rashford, but I wouldn't have Marcus Rashford as a captain. No. I just don't think he's the right character.
Baby as well, isn't he?
It's not that he's petulant. It's not that he's petulant. It's the fact that he's not the kind of person who stands up and takes he's quite a shy, quiet guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He's not that kind of character. So whereas Fernandes might be petulant, but he's bloody mouthy, and he tries to do his best for the team. I don't think he shirks responsibility. Is my point. I really genuinely don't see that. So it's more of a leading by example kind of thing. But the example you're talking about in terms of petulance, I understand. It's just the rest of it. I don't think that's terrible. There isn't anyone else I can think who would be there or who I can see being there in the long term.
So you think he's only got it because he's the only person there that deserves it or is good enough to have it?
Partly. The funny thing is, if David De Gea was still here, he would probably be the person to have it. But again, he's quite a quiet guy. So it's what do you do? Who do you pick? It's
Odegaard's a quiet guy, but he's an unbelievable leader.
But there you go. So that's
team.
what I'm saying. He's the kind of guy I would like to have as a captain, but that's just that's not who Man United have as players. It just it isn't. You know, people love to hate him, and I understand why, but I don't.
Yeah.
So.
No, fair enough.
Anyway, ran on that for about 15 minutes, so I imagine that's going to get cut. Some of it, maybe not all of it.
As well, it's gone to full rat shit for Newcastle now, so they're now losing 2-1.
2-1.
Which means they're not even going to be in Europa League at this point. They are out entirely.
Well, I don't think that's a bad thing for them. I think they can enjoy that experience and then concentrate on the league, because they've been absolutely decimated, haven't they, by injuries and stuff, and it's not been helpful for them.
No. So it leaves them on 5 points, AC Milan on 8, PSG on 8, and Dortmund on 11 already qualified. So, yeah.
Oh well.
Not good for Eddie. I could give a shit about Newcastle, but I don't want Eddie to.
I only care because of Eddie Howe. That's why I care.
That's my point.
That's why I care. So, anyway, lads, I don't want us to say. I mean, I didn't barely even really touch fantasy. There isn't much to change. Just keep an eye on the deadlines.
Yeah, that's the key.
Haaland is the big talking point.
Haaland's the big talking point. Just listen for a bit of news, but realistically, do what you think is best. If you think he's going to miss it, sell him. If you think he's going to probably play, or if he's back in game week 19, and you're willing to keep him. You don't always have to make the transfers. You can use bench.
Just bench him.
Yeah. So
kill beans.
Yeah,
that's my thought on that.
Unless you've got anything else, I think we'll wrap it up and enjoy the next couple of weeks break. I will miss you chaps, not just on the pod, but seeing you. I think Ollie's trying to sort out a little bit of football, so anybody that's not seen his message or not replied in the group, drop him a message and
trying to get some games if you're interested in. Period.
Yeah, it'd be quite nice just to stretch your legs. I'll try and do at least one of the Thursdays, try and organise one of the Thursdays, which anybody is welcome to join.
Yeah, cool. I'll try and get out about somewhere.
Well, have a lovely Christmas, guys.
Yeah, you too, boys. Merry Christmas to
and
one and all.
Everybody listening, thank you very much, everybody, for listening this year. We haven't obviously been doing it the entire year. We're a couple of months in, or 3 months in, whatever it is, but thoroughly enjoy it. We love the feedback we're getting, and we'll keep doing it as long as people keep listening. So, yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, everyone. And Merry Christmas.
All right, boys.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.